This video is based on publicly available information. All individuals mentioned are presumed innocent until proven guilty in a court of law. Before we get into it, if you want clear and straight to the point updates on major South African news stories, please consider subscribing. We are on the road to 1,000 subscribers and your support really makes a difference. What exactly is happening behind closed doors in the case of Sergeant Fannie Nkosi? Why was media denied access to such a crucial court appearance? And what could this mean for transparency in one of South Africa's most talked about cases right now? Sergeant Fannie Nkosi made his much anticipated court appearance on the 7th of April 2026, following a series of developments that have drawn national attention. However, what stood out the most was not just his appearance, but the fact that media access was denied. Journalists were reportedly not allowed inside the courtroom, raising serious concerns about transparency. In a country where public trust in institutions is already under pressure, decisions like this tend to spark speculation.
On the 2nd of April, they executed the J51 search and seizure warrant, and upon arrival, they found 7 firearms that are licensed and belong to Sergeant Fannie Nkosi. But what was of concern is that 4 of the firearms were in the safe, but according to the Firearms Control Act 60 of 2000, all firearms must be locked up in a safe, and the safe must be installed and mounted on a wall or on the floor. It mustn't be removable, easily removable. So that was the first charge of contravention of the Firearms Control Act, in which the safe where the 4 firearms were found was not mounted on a wall or on the floor. They then found 3 other firearms. They found the .38 special revolver in between the mattresses of his room, which is another contravention because all firearms must be in the safe. They then found I think it's a Norinco R5 under his bed, which is another contravention. They then found a 9mm Beretta pistol in his car, in one of his cars, which is another contravention. They found multiple rounds of ammunition, 35 AK-47 rounds, your 9mm R5 rounds, and so on. But of concern as well is that they found also state-issued ammunition. And you will recall that I mentioned that on the 28th of March, he was formally suspended by the SAPS, and then he had an obligation to hand over all state property, and him being in possession of then state property, state ammunition, then it amounts to obstructing the course of justice, defeating the ends of justice, and theft as well, because he shouldn't be in possession of state property if he is on suspension. And then further investigation, they then proceed to the Wendy Wood, which is at the back of his house, where they then find 6 dockets. They find 6 dockets, 5 of them original dockets, 1 copy. And the 6 dockets, it's CIT robberies, 1 that happened in Roodepoort, 1 in Musina, Limpopo, 2 other car hijacking cases. So most of the dockets, all of them actually, it pertains to serious and violent crime. And then upon further investigation, what we found is that all these 6 dockets, when you look at the system, they are closed as undetected. So through investigation, when you close a docket as undetected, it means you cannot find any links, there's no new information, and the case is then closed as undetected, it is archived. So when a docket is archived, it is not allowed to be in a possession of an investigating officer. So it should be in a storage facility at that particular police station. So our team now has been deployed to the various police stations where these dockets were registered, just to ascertain how he got a hold of these dockets, what are they doing, what are these dockets doing in his possession, and what role he played. And so on, because a number of them, like I said, it's cash in transit robbery dockets, one in Musina, Limpopo, another one in Rhodoport, and so on. We also found in his possession a large number of, substantial amounts of money, which he couldn't account for. But our team is continuing with investigations as to where does this money come from and why was it not in the bank. So our investigations are continuing, and like I said, we welcome the decision by the court to obviously apply for a formal bail application next week, because it gives us more time to strengthen our case, to ensure that we oppose bail. Like I've indicated, we are on the ground already. Our investigators are on the ground at those various police stations to ascertain what exactly happened in those dockets, why they were closed as undetected. Did he have a hand in those cases being closed as undetected? So that's where we are in terms of our investigation. And with regards to other allegations of corruption,
would it be correct or wrong for Sergeant Nkosi to have been involved in that fashion?
Sergeant Nkosi had no right to interfere in any procurement-related matters within the TMPD. He has no authority. He had no permission. I was not aware that he is busy interfering. I don't know Sergeant Nkosi. I never made contact with him. The first time I saw Sergeant Nkosi was on the Madlanga Commission. So I want to state it categorically. He had no authority to interfere in any TMPD procurement-related matters.
Are there other Sergeant Nkosis who are interfering in TMPD processes? We've only seen one so far. My worry is that could be the tip of the iceberg.
Commissioner Kumalo, if there's any other persons that is interfering or think of interfering when it comes to TMPD procurement issues, we will get.
Nkosi's arrest came after law enforcement officials carried out a raid at his Pretoria residence on Friday. During the operation, authorities reportedly recovered case dockets, unlicensed ammunition, and even a hand grenade. Evidence that is now expected to play a significant role in the investigation. This development followed the earlier search and seize conducted on the 2nd of April 2026, which had already placed the spotlight firmly on Nkosi and his alleged activities. Nkosi is not just any officer. He is a member of the Gauteng Organised Crime Unit, a division meant to combat serious criminal networks. He also previously testified before the Madlanga Commission, but here's where things became even more complex. His testimony reportedly implicated both himself and senior police officials, suggesting possible links between law enforcement and organized crime figures. If true, this could point to a much larger and deeper issue within the system.
Who is Sergeant Nkosi?
He's a detective that works the head office.
Am I correct that he acted as an errand boy, intermediary for General Sibia and members of the cartel?
He's one of the runners, as we had depicted on our sketch that we projected earlier.
Kat my eie sketchy. He collected money from criminals, worked in organized crime unit, but was effectively detached to run Sibia's errands, collected bags of money and packages from Molefe's house. Am I correct?
There's a person who's been moving around a lot between the group of people.
Okay. Did Sergeant Nkosi, on behalf of Sibia, collect money from members of the cartel, such as Kat, Molefe, Msibi, and others?
Well, I'm not sure. I don't have evidence of money, but what in his own words said to me, he's been moving things between them.
Now, combine all of this with the fact that the media was denied access to his court appearance, and naturally, people start asking questions. Is this about protecting an ongoing investigation, or is there sensitive information that authorities are trying to keep out of the public eye? Because when transparency is limited, speculations grow. And in cases involving law enforcement, public trust is everything.
In relation to the investigations that have continued, the accused is currently facing 3 counts of failure to safeguard firearms. He's also facing 8 counts of failure to safeguard ammunition. In terms of the evidence of the dockets, he's facing a charge of defeating the administration of justice, and then he's also facing a charge of failure to mount a safe. So those are the charges that are in respect of the investigations that are going on so far. The state might add other charges if there's other investigations pertaining to that. And the state also intends to oppose his release on bail because of the seriousness of the crime.
As this case develops, all eyes will remain on what happens next, especially whether future court proceedings will be open to the media, because at the end of the day, justice must not only be done, it must also be seen. What do you think about this situation? Do you believe the media should have been allowed inside the courtroom, or was this the right call by authorities? Drop your thoughts in the comments below. And if you found this video informative, don't forget to like, subscribe, and check out our other videos that dive deeper into cases like this. See you on the next one. Bye.